Hello everyone, this is Silver Starling. Welcome to Theories of the Thought, the place where we'll be using science, history, and math to sniff out the answers to some pretty odd questions. Now, because this is the first episode, I thought we'd start it off with a bang. And what do I mean by bang? I mean looking at a huge question quite a few people have been trying to figure out for a long time. That being, who is the Master of Chaos's mom and dad? It's clear as a star on my fur that Discord has a very complex and interesting personality. Like most trickster characters, he keeps every pony on their toes, making sure that he's one step ahead of them and does his best to not let any of his weaknesses slide. But besides the fact that he knows the princesses, somehow knows Tyrek, and has a menagerie of powers that go from simple transformations to full-blown reality-changing spells, we know next to nothing of his backstory. The only thing we've gotten hints at is when Tyrek genuflected right in front of Discord. That's not a simple bow, that is literally showing great respect to another individual. So the question remains is, where did he come from? Who are his parents? And to say that the fandom's been trying to figure this out for a long time is an understatement. Headcanon upon headcanon, theory upon theory, hundreds of different ideas have come up to try and solve this conundrum of a problem. Some of the more common ones that are seen are things like Discord was created from Starsworld, or Starsworld is Discord, transformed by some magical means. And even more common, Discord is just a Draconequus that was orphaned and then found in Equestria. But I'd like to propose a different idea, one that possibly could solve this. So grab yourself a glass of chocolate milk and get some cotton candy, because we're gonna dive into just who is this mastermind of chaos. Now, unlike some ancient puzzle or artifact or great text that's found, Discord is an animal and a character. So we're going to have to do a little bit different kind of nitpicking than one would think. First off, to understand about what kind of creature he is, we're going to have to look at what we do know. As stated, he is a trickster, but he also has a moral compass. He knows when he's done something wrong and when he's gone too far, and he knows when to fix it. An obvious point is he is made up of a huge number of different things, both herbivore and carnivore, reptilian and mammalian. In addition to this, he is incredibly powerful and seems to match the eternity levels of Celestia and Luna. And on a final note, he knows Tyrek, to the point of Tyrek showing him great respect. And even, as shown recently, has a buddy of the Smooths, who also a very odd but powerful chaotic creature. Now, to do this quickly, I could bring Discord here, but I prefer not to be sent into a giant hole that's got a sock creature in it. Ugh, that would be disturbing. Instead, we're gonna look at a picture to save my sanity and make sure I don't get killed. So the first thing we're going to look at this walking, talking Picasso creature is his name. More specifically, his scientific name. You see, just how every animal has a name like tiger, bunny, kangaroo, they also have a scientific name. Now, unfortunately, the closest thing we have to a scientific name is his actual animal name, that being the Draconequus. Now, breaking this down, we actually have two real-life words being used here. The first part of the name, Draco, is actually the Latin name for dragon. And the word equus, the second part of the name, is actually the scientific name for horse. So, if we were to look at Discord right now on a scientific name basis, that means he's a dragon horse. Interesting. But we're going to put that aside for right now. This will help in identification for later, but for right now, we're going to keep that tucked away. Now that we've examined the name, let's look at Discord from bottom to top. At the very bottom, we have a long limber tail, red in color with scales and spines on the base. The tail also is topped off with a pretty poofy white part of fur. And as we've seen, this tail seems to be pretty limber and mobile. Now that we've gone from the tail, let's move up to the legs. Discord has 2 legs that he can walk on bipedally. One of his legs is reptilian in origin and is probably dragon, considering how it's shaped. His other leg is kind of tricky. As Discord states, he has a cloven leg. And some people may think that will count 2 horses as well, but horses don't have cloven hooves. Animals that have these cloven hoof options are species like cows, deer, or goats. For right now, we'll place all of those 3 inside the option for this leg. Going further up the body, we see his base body is limber as well, and is serpent-like in origin. But because of the fur, it also connects to a mammalia side. So we'll leave this part as ambiguous with those 2 aspects to remain as details following the next few animals we'll be looking at. Now on his body, close to his neck and head, are 4 other features, 2 wings and 2 arms. Looking at his wings first, we see that one looks like that of a Pegasus wing. Same coloring and even same design as those of the standard Pegasus wings. So we'll put that down as possibly pony in origin. His other wing, though, is more membrane based, meaning that this could fall into quite a few categories. It could be a bat, or it could be a manticore, or even a dragon again. We'll put these all as their own separate category and wait till later to make a final decision. Now looking at the hands, we see that there are 2 very distinctive animal traits that are being used here. One is clearly a lion's paw and the other seems to be an eagle claw, but looks a little bit more like it's anthropomorphized. Now moving up the body, we go to the head and neck. His neck is gray fur in color and also seems to have a short black mane at the back. Now some could say this is donkey or maybe even zebra. However, there is a 3rd option, and it comes in the form of the Przewalski wild horse, which are known to have short, sticking up manes and powerful bodies. This means that we're going to have to put that as well in the options for what Discord could be. Moving up the body to the final part, being the head, there are quite a few different animal parts to identify on here. His eyebrows share the same white tuft as his tail, and he even has an interesting tuft of fur at the bottom of his chin. His eyeballs are red and yellow, red being at the iris and yellow being at the pupil. His head seems to be that of goat or ram-like in origin, and his 2 antlers seem to be of deer in origin and an unknown horned creature with a blue horn. And of course, he's got 1 snaggletooth, long and powerful. But enough about all of the looks of Discord, let's go right into the center of Discord, his abilities. And boy does he have a lot. He has a high magical ability that can rival that of an alicorn, as we said. Hypnotism, which has circles on the eyes to its victim and him as well. He can create objects out of thin air, teleport, time travel, warp reality, live eternally, and, from what we know, seems to rely more on cunning and wit than he does about actually using brute force. But he's not shy of using it if need be. Now, after that examination, I bet a lot of you are thinking, this guy is more messed up than one of Pinky's surprise muffins. And I would 100% agree. This guy is like what would happen if Noah's Ark was all smashed together. And I bet a lot of you think that there's no way I could pick a parenthood, meaning that automatically it would have to be that Discord is created or turned from Starswirl the Bearded. And I would say to that, hold your horses. There is a lot more to look at than just this part, because there's a few things we still need to do. We still need to pick what parts of him are actually the same in the other aspects. the ones that we left ambiguous for right now, we can actually determine that there are two sections we can confirm. That being his mane and his wing, specifically the membrane wing. You see, because we know that his name breaks down into dragon horse, we can confirm that this wing is probably dragon in origin. And as for his mane, because we know that there are the wild horses that have that straight, short mane, as well as his name having the aspect of horse in it, we can confirm that these two parts are probably dragon in origin for the wing and horse in origin for the neck and mane. However, this does prevent us from checking the others, as those are the only two we can confirm with the name for right now. But let's sum this up. He seems to have quite a bit of dragon, some horse, snake and reptilian-like, carnivore-ish predator for the snaggletooth, deer, an unknown kind of horn, ram-like head, cloven-like foot, a long reptilian tail with a bushy end to it, and quite a few other parts. Now I know what you're thinking. There is no way, after even just that little more clarification, that I have confirmed anything about Discord. But wait a bit more, and you'll see that we actually not only can figure out his parenthood, but we've also seen one of his parents' species already in the show. Now, for those who are thinking I just did a U-turn and said that there are other Draconiqui in the show, I'm not saying that. I'm actually implying something else. In my opinion, Discord is the only Draconiquus that has ever been made because Discord is a hybrid. You heard right. I believe Discord is a hybrid animal. And for those of you who aren't sure what a hybrid animal is, let me just give you a basic run through. A hybrid animal is, in a sense, a species of animals made from two separate animals. Things like that have been seen in real life science. Donkeys and horses, wolves and coyotes, tigers and lions. All of these animals have been able to reproduce and create new, different, and unique species. For the tigers and the lions, those are known as ligers. Coy wolves are a combination of the coyote and the wolf. And the mule, as we've also seen in the show, is a combination between a male donkey and a female horse. There are a few more rules to the hybrid equation though in real life science. One important thing to note about hybrid species is that all of them have to be in the same familial line. That means you're not going to see a cat and a dog making a new animal, but you could see something, as we saw, of the ligers coming together. Another common trait and kind of expectation of the hybrids is that this hybrid creature will probably not be able to reproduce. The only exceptions to this are female ligers. And on a final note, oddly enough, most of the hybrid animals are not only sharing things like features or even traits, but they also share a lot of positive aspects of them. The liger is bigger, more powerful, and even at times more durable than a lion or a tiger. A coy wolf is known to have the strength and stamina of a wolf, but the look and speed of a coyote. And mules are known as powerhouses on the farms, and incredible to have. So, if we consider this into the real-life science world, that would mean that Discord's parents would have to be of the same familial line, right? Well, in this case, wrong. In the MLP world, we actually see that this world is filled with mythological creatures. One of those including the griffin. The griffin is a species made out of lion and bird. And even then, griffins have been known to be able to breed with ponies and create one-of-a-kind creatures called hippogriffs, which carry both their pony line and their griffin line too. So, if we can understand that creatures of different types could possibly have children together, then we could guess and maybe even assume that Discord could be the product of two very different species. Don't believe me? Let me ask you this. What species do we know of has feline, reptile, and goat already in it? Catching on? Good job, because I am implying one of Discord's parents might be the Chimera. Here's a little mythology lesson for you. Chimeras actually were originally supposed to have lion heads, goat heads right behind those lion heads, snake-like tails, and even in some depiction I've seen, dragon parts to them too. But the more common one used is lion, goat, and snake. Now, because we have seen in the show that there is indeed variety amongst the species such as griffins, we can confirm that quite possibly there are chimeras with lion-like heads instead of tiger. And if we confirm that, this actually knocks off a huge amount of the animals that would make up Discord. The snaggle-like tooth connecting into the saber, the feline part with his lion paw, even his goat-like ram-like head. Now for those who need further proof of this, take a look at what happens when the snake tries to charm Apple Bloom.
We're going to have our apple pie with a side of Philly filet.
Did you catch it? That's right, the snake used hypnotism. And not only that, it had the eye circular motion. This shows similar traits being passed from parent to child, and it's one key point in connecting the two together. Now, if we can guess that one of the equation's answers revolves around a chimera, the question would be, what is the other answer? And for those wondering, yes, I do indeed have a guess for what this other equation answer is. From my travels, I've actually found a set of animals that indeed are just as loony and crazy as Discord himself. Mares and gentle colts, please say hello to our eastern friend, the Qilin. Now for those of you who have never heard or seen this being, yes, it is a real mythological creature. The Qilin is from Eastern Asia, and it's said to be a bearer of incredible magic ability and, in fact, a bearer of harmony. And, get this, it's also born from a unicorn and a dragon. Now how does this apply into Discord in his familial line? Actually, it covers off a whole lot. All the dragon parts to him, his deer horn, his magical limitless ability. Even the tail is almost exactly the same to that of a Qilin's. So the question is, if these two creatures are able to make him up and make Discord who he is, what about that eagle claw and that Pegasus wing and the odd horn on his head? Those are the only parts we haven't been able to confirm. Well, for this we're going to have to go back to his grandparents, because in many cases, children receive traits from not only their parents, but also their grandparents. Oftentimes, these traits are known as recessive genes, genes that are hidden in the body and can be passed at times during certain circumstances. So if we think about Discord, his grandparents are probably two chimeras for the chimera line, and for the Qilin line, as we stated, the combination between a dragon and a unicorn. And for those who think I'm talking about the dragons in the show, that's a negatory, big buddy. I'm actually talking about Eastern dragons. See, there are Western dragons who are the big, bulky, terrorizing kind, and then there are Eastern dragons, the positive, fluffy, long, slender, levitating bodies. They are actually worshipped because they are deemed to bring good luck, harmony, and all that other stuff. And get this, their legs are depicted at times with bird-like features to them, or reptilian skinny legs. This connects to Discord's eagle claw. If this was an Eastern dragon hand, that would also explain why it's more movable than a normal eagle claw. Not only that, Discord has actually looked a lot like an Eastern long dragon when he moves his body, especially when he first met the gang in Season 2. This shows that some of the grandparents' traits were probably passed down to Discord. So we've covered off that those two parts may indeed be a part of his dragon origin, but then what about the wing? It doesn't match with a unicorn. I mean, when was the last time you saw a unicorn born naturally with wings? I mean, the horn could be indeed a part of a unicorn horn, but what on earth would be the Pegasus wing? Well, funny enough, who's to say that the unicorn was a unicorn? Who's to say it wasn't some magical being with unicorn, Pegasus, and Earth Pony in them? That's right, I am implying that Discord had a grandparent that was an alicorn. Now before you get all mad, and before you write hate in the comment section, please listen. We know that Discord has unbelievably powerful magic, more so than the average unicorn and more so than the average dragon. When was the last time you saw a unicorn off the street who could warp reality? They can't. In fact, the most any unicorn has been able to do was Twilight, and she was the element of magic. So the question would be, how could a unicorn get that much magic? Answer, it would be an alicorn. It could connect to the aspect of why he has a Pegasus wing, why he has unbelievably powerful magic. This buddy probably is chock full of magical essence from his grandparents being an alicorn. And we can't say that Celestia and Luna are the only known alicorns. It has been confirmed that the two are naturally born alicorns and not the artificial ones like Cadence or Twilight. This means they had to have had parents who are no doubt alicorn in origin as well. We know that most likely they had to be alicorn in origin because, as we've seen, Pegasi and Unicorn don't seem to be able to make other alicorn. If this was true, we'd see a lot more of the little tykes running around, and a lot more of them be crowned as royals. There is even confirmation that there were other alicorns, considering in the book of the Love Poison, there's an alicorn featured, and a statue of an alicorn found in the old library. So let's say there were other alicorns, and indeed one of them fell in love with a dragon. With the understanding that genetics are very different here in Equestria, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that quite possibly a creature of harmonious being could be made from a very powerful alicorn creature and a very powerful eastern dragon. And if you combine that powerhouse of harmony with a chaotic beast, I bet you'd get one kooky child. Now, for those of you who are thinking I'm breaking my own rules, since I stated above that hybrid animals could not reproduce, remember, I said that there were only very rare exceptions, that being the female liger. If the Qilin, with all his magic or her magic, would be able to reproduce, this would mean that Discord could be born. However, most likely, the animal that would be reproduced from the union would probably not be able to reproduce either. That's why we haven't seen any other Draconiqui. But hey, I guess that would save our sanity, considering there wouldn't be any more little baby Draconiqui running around all over the place causing chaos. But let's face the facts. This seems to fit pretty well with the idea of all three rules being followed. And there you have it, the possibility of Discord's familial line. We'll have to wait for the show to continue on and see the Eastern land to see what these Eastern dragons would look like and if there are Qilins. But for now, I think we've confirmed a pretty darn decent possibility of who the Lord of Chaos family is. And for those of you who are wondering what happened to Discord's parents as they're not here now, well, that's a theory for another day. Join me next time when we'll be going on to a different route and looking at a little buddy who's got a gem on his belly and 3 alien moms to help him out. Till then, may your travels be light and your road be safe until we meet again.